Hello and welcome to Needing a Meeting. Sorry about that. My name is Carol. I will be your host today, and Kim just popped in. Oh, let's not do that screen. I don't want that screen. I want this screen. Hello, Kim.
Oh.
Hey, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can hear you too.
Okay.
How are you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad. I spent a couple hours on the phone with a friend of the lifeboat, and I'm not sure why my camera's not working, but that's okay. And she's going to be in needing of thoughts and prayers for the next while. She's had some pretty significant things happen to her, and she's somebody who doesn't deal with it super well. So she has me to reach out to, but fortunately, she also has a number of other people, different time zones for different things that, if she needs something in the middle of the night, she has people in Australia. If she has something she needs at whatever time, she can reach out to wherever. She also happens to be one of Tommy's 5. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I told her about this space and that we are a very wonderful outreaching type of group who will listen non-judgmentally, who will offer support and all of that stuff. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Henny, I am doing okay. I, had a few little emotional moments, but for the most part, I heard from Vicki this morning. It was pretty wonderful, and that did my heart good. How are you, Stasia?
I was muted. I apologize. I'm starting to let the emotions in a little bit more. I was trying to not keep them away from Wee Man because I want him to learn how to process these things, but I was trying to be more supportive of him.
Yeah.
He woke up this morning worried and wondering where he was, and we're wondering where Steve was, because there was many times where we had spoken to him on the phone when he was here. So I just tried to keep it a little bit more together, and I myself woke up from a message from Vicki as well, and that she amazes me. She really, really amazes me. She's giving such consoling words, and all I want to do is give them back and give them to her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I'm good all in all. Dropped Wee Man off. No kinks with the pickup, so this is good.
Okay. Are you documenting what happened this morning, or is it necessary, or?
I'm going to talk to the child services worker about the loss that he's dealing with. Okay. Because I'm not sure. This person, Steve, is not recognized my ex because I met Steve after. Right?
Yeah.
So I don't want it to be a situation where he's like, well, you really don't know this person, but he doesn't know what the relationship was. He doesn't know other than what my son decides to share,
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that they're aware he's grieving. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just make sure that they're aware, and if he needs to talk about it, I told him he can call at any point in time.
Yeah.
So that we can remember and we can be happy about it, because that's what we keep trying to do, is finding the happy memory. You know, what is it that we got out of this relationship, and what was the happy part? Okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
My goodness, Christy. Every time you amaze me.
Because I'm so late always?
No, because you're always the stunning woman.
Well,
I don't know.
You got to see me before, and then you would be like, what magic is this?
And in all fairness, I've seen you without makeup too, and you're still stunning. So.
Yep. 100%.
I love the pies.
Yes. Pies for Steve.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, I didn't mean to interrupt.
You're fine.
Oh, it's okay. I was just talking about trying to reach out to I will reach out to the social worker just to make sure that they understand Rowan is grieving a little bit right now. And that, he can call, I told him he can call me at any point in time, and that we were finding the happy thoughts. We were finding, well, what did we talk about on the phone and what made us smile, So trying to find those points.
Okay.
Just because I met Steve after that relationship. And I understand that on the other side, he's not really going to be recognized as something major, but to Rowan, he is.
Yeah.
Well, he was an important part of helping Rowan process what was going on.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think you can discount that relationship. Just because it's not a familial relationship doesn't mean that it's not an important relationship.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or that it's not valuable and valid,
Exactly.
And it should be, treated just as importantly. I mean,
Exactly.
I think,
I agree.
really
I agree. And then there's always my insecurity and my fear on what it is on the other side, right? So I think if I at least do the due diligence to say, hey, this is a thing right now, then they're aware.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, I just, that was all that we were talking about when you came in.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
See. Good to see
Oh, how are you?
I am good.
Good. I've missed you.
I've missed you guys too.
Crystal, I want to find out how you're doing.
Starting to feel a bit better.
Good.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
A little bit of the anxiety coming down, I guess.
Yeah, a bit. It's just been a weekend of just sitting, playing on the phone, working on crafts.
Right on.
Just
Sounds
taking
relaxing.
it easy.
Yeah.
Sure. I wanted to get out and do some more packing, but that just never happened. But I'm okay with that.
Okay.
So,
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any news on the person who looked at your trailer? Anything there?
haven't heard anything yet, but of course it is the weekend, so
yeah.
Might not hear till tomorrow or.
I love that. Staying positive. That's good.
Yeah.
Oh, and Christy, I love your lips.
Thank you. The reason I bought this lipstick is it matches the color of my husband's Corvette. Exactly.
Awesome.
So when I drove the Corvette to work a few times, I put on the matching lipstick because I wanted that gone in 60 seconds, it matches. And then when a couple of the guys realized that it matched, they thought that was really cool. And it's Mary Kay. And I've never really worn Mary Kay or anything like that, but it is the most southern red. So I use it sparingly.
Is that one Poppy Please Red Stiletto or Midnight Red?
What's that?
Somebody knows their Mary Kay.
Yeah,
they do.
I'm a consultant.
Oh, okay.
I think it's red.
So is it Poppy Please, Red Stiletto, or I can't remember the third one. Red Smolder, I think, is the other one.
Yeah, I think Red Stiletto. And then I've got so I put it on first and then I go over it with my lip liner to sharpen it up. Yeah, it's the one.
Do the lip liner first, then the lipstick after, and that'll hold your lipstick on better. And
I want it to be sharp, which is
it will stay sharp
afterwards. Yeah, it was a trick I learned when I was a makeup artist. So I found that it just worked really well to do it that way, because really it stays pretty well on my lips. It doesn't migrate too much, but it was just that sharpness that I like.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, I think
Wonderful.
that's what it was.
Okay.
Which Gypsy Day is he saying?
Uh,
Oh,
yeah.
that's sad.
Feel sad for my youngest son. He doesn't have any memories like the older two do, just the memory of the day his dad passed away.
That's hard.
Oh, that's
Oh my goodness.
heartbreaking.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Mm.
so he was young then when he passed.
She said he was 4. Did I have that right, Gypsy Daisy?
Uh, I'm so sorry. That's tough. I mean, it's tough having your dad pass at any age, but
Yeah.
4,
Yeah.
that's really hard.
That's going to be a lifelong
Mm-hmm.
thing. I mean, for all of the kids.
Yes, yes.
But
But it's defining.
yeah.
It is.
Something that
Yeah.
helped me a lot was all the positive stories that I was able to get from other people. I was not that young when I lost my mom, but it did help me a lot because I found the memory faded very, very quickly because you're so young. You know, it's hard, but the good stories. As soon as I get a good story, it helps a little bit. Even now.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. But you were 7. That's significantly young.
Yeah.
Yeah. My husband was 6 when his mom died of cancer.
Oh.
And he has some memories of her, but it's more like flashing. I remember this about her versus this is the memory with her. And because of that, we actually demystified death to our children. It's
Right
like,
on.
this can happen. And if it does, so many kids are like, don't you come near my mommy. Don't you come near my daddy. They're mine. We always taught them, if something was to happen, we want them to have somebody who will love you as much as your mom loved you. Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way we demystified it and we demystified mental illness the same way, like it's what we had to do because we had those very young, very important issues that we had to deal with.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's always good when you can demystify, especially those bigger things for
Mm-hmm.
kids. I know it's hard. Sometimes as adults, we even have difficulty wrapping our head around it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
making sure that a child can understand it
Yeah.
is really important. And the fact that you can do that for your kids is amazing. That's so good.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, you just have to do it age appropriately, right?
Yeah.
So,
The hard thing for me, I kind of mentioned it. I had my dad, when he passed, he got cremated. So I had to explain to my kids that he got cremated and what that meant. And that was hard. My middle daughter freaked out because I had to tell him, like, there's, you're not going to, you're not going to see him because they had been to funerals before, but they had always seen somebody, and it was, and sometimes just, even if you do it age appropriately, it can really be a difficult thing.
yeah, death isn't easy for anyone.
It's really not. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Lord Kiss Freaks that admit it. The lipstick matches the Corvette, so you can hide scratches you put on it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Thing, and I thought, oh, I better explain that. That's hilarious. You didn't actually
That
think
is
that.
pretty good.
Uh,
Well, I was hoping a Rolling Stone would be here because I've been made to know by a certain bird named Tommy that she has a 3-month clean anniversary.
Nice.
Hey, Misha.
Yay.
So I was hoping I have my tiara right here waiting for her.
Hey. Well, hopefully
You know, and I was just thinking about, someone had mentioned that, they needed more help with sobriety than we were, we tend to converse, about what's going on amongst us because we see each other on the screen, and and we try to include the chat in everything, and but it's fine. But I did want to share that, if a trigger comes and that craving just becomes like that all-consuming thing, just give yourself 5 minutes to not do anything about it
yeah.
other than just acknowledge it, and then give yourself another 5 minutes after that. Then give yourself 10 minutes and find something, that's comforting to do, that's not that DOC, that drug of choice, whether it's a behavior or a substance, and so I did want to just kind of share that and put that out there.
Yeah.
Hi, Ms. D. Hi, Misha.
Thanks for that, Carol. It's hard to remember.
Right on.
You fight it so hard, and yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's more a behavior than a substance, but yeah, it's tough to fight.
Right.
It's just as real, just as destructive.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, I was, for a while, I was struggling with, I never relapsed once I went to rehab in 94. And, I've struggled off and on with kind of feeling like a fraud because I actually had people tell me in AA that I didn't belong there. I tried to,
What?
yeah. And that was after trying to go back after my initial 7 months. I was in church, and I just really thought, I'm feeling like there are some gaps in my recovery here, and I feel like I need to deal with that. So I tried going back into AA, and I got with this one girl to sponsor me, because she was a fellow Christian, and I was kind of sharing with her about, that whole thing of, wondering, do I really have this as an addiction? And just in the course of the conversation, she said, well, in a very mean tone, well, then you don't belong here then.
If you have to wonder, you don't belong, right?
I guess so. She didn't really, and that's the sad thing too, is she never even really said why.
Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible.
Wouldn't that be part of the reason being there, is to explore that?
Uh-huh.
Right.
I mean, I've never been, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
my
so, my recent bout with this last bout with shopping addiction
goodness.
really showed me that, the similarities are uncanny
Yeah.
between the alcohol and the dopamine reward brain thing with the shopping.
Yeah.
It was the same. The craving was the same.
Yes. Yeah.
The compulsion was the same.
Yeah.
It's the same,
And for that brief moment that after you've given in, it feels so good.
Yeah. Briefly.
And
Then you feel guilty.
Yeah.
Immediately. Yeah.
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 I'm like that with food.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my
Yeah.
thing. And
Yeah.
shopping. Food and shopping are my two big things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm starting to see shopping as much more a common thing than I realized it was. I mean, I it's bringing a new awareness to me, and I think that it's good to talk about that and
Yeah.
get it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to say, Crystal, I don't have any substance abuse problems or anything either. Mine was compulsive behavior. And that is really hard because it becomes a part of who you are and how you cope. And, mine was anorexia. And so when I couldn't control anything, I could control the food. And that only thing I could control. And I got really, really, really sick, and it caused a lot of mental health issues. And so I don't want you to I want you to know that it is a very hard thing to struggle, because it's a part of your behavior, your
Yeah.
personality, your who you are. And for me, it was difficult because it wasn't something that I picked up. It wasn't like I just picked up whatever and did it. It was
Yeah.
what
It was a cascading effect.
yeah.
One
And
begets another, begets another, begets another.
yes, and I
Yeah.
had dealt with it since I was 12. So
Yeah.
until somebody really pointed out to me, like, do you see it? I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I didn't see it at all. And so I just want you to know that, those struggles are tough too, and they are very real. And I'm glad that you're
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who understand compulsive behavior, so you're not alone, whatever yours
Yeah.
might be. I wanted to
Yeah.
encourage you that, not everybody here is dealing with a substance. There are people who deal with compulsive behaviors. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Is it okay if I share what mine is?
Absolutely. If you're comfortable doing that, 100%.
I'm just going to say I don't want to trigger anybody.
Okay.
Mine is self-harm.
Okay.
Because I dealt with a lot of SA and other forms of abuse.
Yes.
I actually saw the SA as love. And so I'll actually go back and I'll hurt myself when I need that release or whatever
Okay.
to feel loved.
Wow.
If you want to know more about that, you can come to my channel on the 14th at 7:30 Central Standard Time, and you'll be able to see Crystal tell her story.
The 14th, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Thursday. And it's going to be half. We're going to do a part 2, which is going to be her healing journey.
Good.
So yeah, we're not just stopping at the scary stuff.
Right on.
Okay.
So Crystal, how are you managing now without getting into too much of what you're going to share? I know you're in therapy.
Yeah.
Are you? How is that working for you? How are you feeling as you work through these things?
I'm doing okay.
Okay.
I've had the same therapist for 8 years. I've been more in counseling than out of since
That's okay.
about
Good.
it's probably about 16 or 17 when I finally got into therapy. And it's just been probably in the last 8 or 9 years that I've actually been able to open up on a deeper level.
Sure.
Yeah.
My therapist is a trauma therapist, and my mother passed in 2010, and before that I couldn't deal with any of the stuff to deal with her.
Yeah.
So
You didn't feel safe enough while she was still around.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
she was literally in a coma when I saw her. I hadn't seen her for the last 2 years of her life, and I was still scared, even though I knew she could not talk, could not come back. I was still scared she was going to sit up in that bed and tell me, "You're the reason I'm in here."
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Wow.
I knew her mother. Her mother was harsh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're such a gentle soul. I can only imagine how wounding
Yeah.
that can be.
Crystal's amazing. And she's so strong. The ability she has to reach out, especially over the last couple of years, several months that I've reconnected with her, reaching out takes a lot of strength.
Yeah.
And we don't give ourselves enough credit for how much strength we need to have in order to reach out, right? So I just want to applaud Crystal for that.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're here, Crystal.
Here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing with us as well. That
Yeah.
the reaching
Yeah,
out,
for
like Kim
trusting us.
just said, the bravery and how much that takes. I'm honored. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Wow.
I just want to help people because of what I've been through.
Right on.
Hmm.
Amazing.
And you will.
Wow.
You will. You
I
absolutely
already
will.
have.
You already have. Yeah.
Great.
Mhm.
Been able to help some people. How did that make you feel? Being able to help somebody.
I didn't really completely get it right at the time, but the first time I shared my story, there was a girl in the room who had just been assaulted the night before.
Oh,
Oh,
And so I actually felt compelled to share my story. And one of the guys that was in the room actually knew me from the time I was in grade 7. And this was post grad. And they happened to be on opposite sides of the room. So it was hard for me to, okay, I can't look at both of them at the same time. So I needed to be looking at the girl for what her response was because we were in leadership. And she broke. I found out the following year that it had complete ripple effects with all the youth. A bunch of them went back to their communities and ended up telling their stories. So it saved a few kids,
good.
saved a few
That's
youth.
amazing. That's amazing.
that's
So
great.
yeah,
That's
it just,
beautiful.
I couldn't
I mean,
believe it. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the guy who knew me before, he had no clue about my story. And he said, Crystal, if you ever need to talk, I'm here.
Oh,
And he just embraced me.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
That's amazing.
Those types of incidences are why she was comfortable enough to come and do it online with me,
Okay.
to be able to reach further than simply her immediate community.
Yeah.
And yeah, just her heart is huge. Yeah.
I'm a little nervous because one of my abusers has not told his kids. And all of his kids are actually on my Facebook.
Oh.
So
Okay. Well, would they
that
know?
might,
I mean, if you're not naming names, would they be able to know?
oh yes, they'll
Oh, yeah.
know.
Wow.
It
She
was
mentions it's
my
her
brothers.
brothers.
Okay.
It's my brothers, so it's my nieces and nephews. And those 5 are the only ones I actually have on Facebook.
Hmm.
did your
So
brother harmed you?
both of them.
Both of your brothers harmed you. Did your mother know that your brothers were harming you? You know what? You don't have to answer that,
Yes
everyone.
and no.
You'll find out on Thursday.
She was also very abusive.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
Wow.
So sorry you went through
I'm
that.
sorry.
I, uh, you know, it is so brave for you to tell your story. And it can be so scary and so hard to tell your story, especially when the people that hurt you are still alive and they're
Yeah.
still there. Or they're people that are maybe not in your life, but deal with people that you love very much. Um, it can be really scary
yeah,
and it can be nerve wracking. And it's really hard to share your story sometimes and not, and to
Our
be vague
people.
enough about it. Yeah, to be vague
Yeah.
enough about it, to get your story across, but not so specific. Um, I came out of a really awful marriage. My first marriage was bad. And I've shared the story, but it took a long time for me to share the story. And I've been very careful in sharing the story because my kids seen it, but they're still, and that's still their dad, and they still have a
mhm.
relationship
Yeah.
with him. And
Hmm.
it's difficult to share.
Yeah.
Uh, so I applaud you, and I want to encourage you You know, as long as you're truthful and you're honest, which I have no reason to believe that you would not be,
Yeah.
stand firm.
Nobody wants to tell a story like that on anybody.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
I'm gonna pop off and go spend some time with my husband.
Okay.
Just gonna come on, say hi.
Good to see
I'll
you.
talk to you
Kim.
later.
Good night.
See ya.
Man, if I ever
Bye,
need any
Kim.
more lipstick, I know
So,
where.
so and that irritates me so much when people are not to be believed, because why would anybody tell something like that? You know what I mean? And there's always yeah.
It's been believed,
Good.
because both actually admit that they did it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
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 it's just the one, when I asked him if he would tell his kids, he said, most definitely, they will know. They will know that I made tough decisions and that there were consequences to those decisions. He went to jail,
Okay.
and so he's told his kids that. He's talked to his kids about alcohol abuse, because he was, as he says, he was one drink away from being homeless. So he was pretty bad. The other one refuses to admit. He admits that he did it, but he's stuck in the fact that he was hurt too. And that's not cool.
No, it's not.
Because
Okay,
when
so
you go
then-
But
through,
it doesn't make it okay for him to turn around and hurt somebody else.
No.
You.
Yeah.
There's no making that okay. You know,
like
just like, go ahead.
for part of my recovery, I actually, because I was scared that I could abuse, I went through the offenders program, or at least the first part of it. And the very first thing you learn in that program is the second you cross that line from a victim to an abuser, you have to deal with the fact that you abused somebody first. And the one brother will not do that.
Right.
Can I ask, um, were you just aware, like, was it a conscious thing that awoke in you that's like, my brothers did this to me, my mom has not been nice to me, let's just put it that way. This could be a thing in me, and you wanted to better understand yourself? Is that what that was? Because that is a very, like, aware, proactive, enlightened way to behave, to say, okay, this has happened. I don't want to become this way.
Yeah.
Wow,
That's amazing. And I hope it didn't get used against you or counted against you for going into that. Did it?
No, it didn't.
Okay. No danger of that.
It was just me and the therapist that worked through the program.
Okay.
She was trained. She worked with ones from in jail and stuff, but she had also, before she had been an offenders counselor, she actually was a counselor to the victims.
oh,
So she had a really good, she could see both sides of it.
Okay.
So
interesting. So
You
did
know,
you
go
find this
ahead.
helpful?
I did.
Through
Good.
it, were you like, oh, I could see, I don't, okay, let me rephrase how I'm going to ask this because I don't know how to ask it, but did you see traits in yourself that you're like, oh, or was it more reassuring for you that no, I mean, I understand everybody has the potential to be abusive,
Yeah.
but did you find, was it a positive experience for you that maybe you've
It
seen
was.
that in you?
Okay.
Am I asking that right?
Okay, let's just put it this way. Because I was the youngest and because I was at the end of the line growing up, the only thing that was below me was our cats and our dogs.
Okay.
I wouldn't hit the dogs because they could always bite.
Sure.
But
Okay.
the cats got And that was part of it as well.
Okay.
Okay.
So I knew I had the capacity to be abusive.
Okay.
Okay.
And I could see some of the same traits that my mother had. So,
But you know,
and
I feel like
I wanted to get rid of it.
you're probably more just acting out than, just acting out what it has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as a kid, you don't have, necessarily the emotional capacity to process that and to understand what happened,
Or to know how to process it in a way that's productive.
Yes.
Because you
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
It's, if you jump on Kim's site and hear the story, you'll kind of hear a little bit, because abuse is not the act of hitting somebody or SA or whatever the choice of abuse they choose. It is more about control. They're
Okay.
needing to control something. And so they will pick whatever their means of controlling that person will be.
Yeah.
And that is actually how my oldest brother described it to me.
Okay.
He needed control over something and he chose me. He chose SA because he said nobody would see what was happening.
Yeah. They
Where if
couldn't
he
see any
was
marks on you.
right.
So
Yeah.
he explained to you why he did that?
Yes.
Was that
Yes.
helpful to you?
It was. We sat down with a mediator. I guess about 18 years ago.
Okay.
And I asked him the tough questions.
Yeah.
And he answered the best to his knowledge. And yeah, the only thing he was hesitant on was when I asked if he had been hurt. And he said no. But about 3 or 4 years later, he actually was doing an art project while his wife was in therapy. And he drew being abused.
Okay.
So he couldn't deny it.
Right.
Mhm. You might not have been ready to manage his own dealing with it when you guys were talking.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
So
Wow. So much you have been through and come through, and wow. That's amazing.
That's
I'm
amazing.
so proud of you. Like,
Yeah.
thank
you
you.
know, I mean, just hearing your story. Now, has going to therapy helped with the self-harm? Do you do that as
Um,
regularly as maybe you used to?
I'm slowly getting a better control on it,
Good,
Okay.
good,
but
good.
I guess when was the last time? It's been within the last month that
Okay.
I've hurt myself. So
Okay. What, if you don't mind my asking, what coping mechanisms have you put into place to help you? I mean, you're not doing it every day, clearly.
no,
And so are you able to go longer stretches?
slowly getting there. Yeah,
Okay.
just with
How do
everything
you
that's been going on these last 3 or 4 weeks, I couldn't handle
Yeah,
at all. Even reaching out to people, it got to be too much. So it's like, nope.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah. It does get that way. It gets, and that's part of what keeps us in our addictive behavior, whether it's a substance or a behavior, is that isolation.
yeah.
And it's not always a safe space, but it feels safe.
Yeah.
you know but
Thankfully, it's been about 3 or 4 months since I've gone to the porn. So that one's
okay.
getting better.
Okay. Okay. Right
So,
on.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
Okay.
recognize it in yourself, but I see resilience.
I do too.
I see a lot of
Totally.
resilience.
I do too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's a friend of mine who, well, she was actually the RCMP officer who did the investigation when I charged. And she calls me her hero.
Oh.
Yeah. I can see it. I can see why. I can totally see why. Yeah.
I don't know. I just do what I can do and
You know,
Yeah.
but
keep going.
underput yourself. You're doing a lot. You
Yeah, you
know,
are.
you really are. And it can be very easy to just say, well, you know, this isn't this or it doesn't matter that. And but your story is profound. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just completely moved by it. Um,
Yeah.
I just don't have any words, which, if you know me, is kind of a thing. It's
I guess like I didn't realize what was going on with my brothers was wrong. I didn't know because it started so young.
Wow. Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Even though
I
something in you knows it doesn't feel right.
close to the end, I did want it to quit,
Mhm.
but I didn't know how.
Yeah.
And I finally felt safe about 6 months after the last time he had actually done anything to reach out and tell somebody what was going on. And they actually were the ones that wrote back and said, you are being abused. So that term was not part of my vocabulary.
No. Why would it be? I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
I had my reasons. It was like, abuse doesn't happen in the church, doesn't happen in small communities, doesn't happen in
Mm-mm.
middle class families, which actually we were beyond poor, but I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I had all the don'ts.
Yeah, but except that it does.
Yeah,
In every one of those
exactly.
communities, every one
Yeah.
of those places.
When one of my teachers found out, she says to me, because she knew my brothers as well, she says, you're the last person I would have thought would be abused.
Yeah.
And I asked her why. And she said, well, you're not overweight. You're not promiscuous. You're not. And I said, look at the other end of that spectrum. I'm shy. I keep my weight in control so that nobody knows. I keep to myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just all this different stuff that, and she's like, oh yeah, I guess so.
Can I ask, and you never have to answer a question I ask that you don't want to. You can
Yeah,
say, nope, not good, not okay. How old were you when it stopped?
I was approximately 14 when it stopped.
Okay.
Okay.
And I was a year old when it started.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
1 year old.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So this
And
is
my
all
brother actually confirmed that.
I know of people who had started, it started even younger than that. So it's
Yeah.
horrible, but it's not unusual, unfortunately. And I have to say that, was it a teacher you just said who said that they were the last person thought that you would be abused?
Yeah.
The teacher, just incredibly misinformed in terms of, who can be abused, or the typical person. They just have a stereotype because,
Yeah.
as I say on Surviving Together all the time, it does not discriminate. There's a perpetrator for every age, every race, every color, every creed, every sexual orientation. It does not matter who you are. It can happen to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was actually one of the more informed teachers.
Wow.
'Cause
Wow.
it was actually during a family life course that I told her because I was scared she's going to freak out.
It just goes to show you how much the need for education, still is.
Mhm.
It sounds like that would be several years ago. I'm not sure how old you are now, but that
It
was
was in 1996 that I
okay,
told her.
90s. And education has come far, but not nearly
Yes.
far enough. Not nearly far enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. As like a grade 1 kindergarten student, I always thought that, like, they would say, if you don't want to be touched, tell somebody. And I kept thinking, well, where do I not want to be touched?
Mm.
Because it was already happening.
Right.
In your family, who
And
do you tell?
Right.
yeah. And I said that to one of my friends who's a teacher, and she said, actually, now we have to say exactly where. And it's like, if somebody touches you here or here or here, you need to tell.
Hmm.
So,
Which can be the scariest thing, because that's the whole thing, that part of that control is, there are going to be serious consequences if you tell,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, and you've got people who are supposed to be your support system. You've got people who are supposed to be, you know, the ones who guide you, the ones who love you, the people you trust the most. If
Yeah.
they're telling you one thing and the teacher's telling you another, where are you more likely to put
Good.
your trust?
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially if you don't know any different, if it's been happening for so long, you're like, yeah, okay, well, maybe that's for the others, but it's not not my reality.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She was a very good teacher. The year that she was actually supposed to retire, they asked her to stay on as the guidance counselor, and she did that for another, I think it was about 5 years. So,
Well, a lot of if it was the mid 1990s, a lot of the education was really starting to ramp up. The
yeah,
mandatory reporting laws were starting to get put into place. So a
yeah,
lot of the changes that we've really seen in the past, 20 years is what you're talking about there. So you were at the very beginning of all of that. So yeah, I have
yes,
no doubt she was a wonderful teacher. Just the fact that she didn't know about, sexual abuse and know the ins and outs and what to look for and things like that, I don't fault her at all. But that's,
no,
nowadays we do. And, that's the education that has to get to our educators, to our parents, to,
Mhm.
to our children, to make
Yeah.
sure that everyone knows what's going on and can see it and can recognize it if it's going to happen and try and prevent it before it does.
yeah.
Yeah.
Crystal, can I ask, how did you feel like, when you realized it wasn't okay, but that it had stopped and you were on the other side of it? How did you feel in that moment?
I was still
Was that,
scared,
Yeah.
were
completely
you,
scared. Because he had always told me that if I told, it would be worse. And
Oh.
when there was something that happened, and Mom actually confronted him, and he said, like, she flat out asked him, "Have you ever had Crystal in your room?" And he said, "Yeah, once." And it was worse after that.
Oh.
So I was still so scared that even up until the time he went to jail, I was actually scared that he was going to come back and make true on his promise.
Mhm.
now, how old were you when he went to jail?
I was in grade 12.
Okay.
So there was
It was,
years there from the time you were 14 until you were
yeah,
17, 18.
yeah.
Was he still at home? Were you in the home? Did you get removed?
I was still in the home. Neither brother was at that point. It had to be my counselors that told my parents. Well, it was mainly just the older one. They told my parents that he is no longer allowed to come home if I was there. And they were dumbfounded.
Mm.
They couldn't figure that out. Thankfully,
Wow.
they abided by it, but
Yeah.
yeah, no.
Now, did he go to prison specifically on your case?
Yes.
Okay.
I was the only one that was charging.
Okay.
He ended up getting 2 10-month sentences and 1 2-year less a day sentences to be served concurrently, and mandatory offenders counseling, probation afterwards, and no contact. We
Okay.
did end up opening the contact before it would have been allowed otherwise,
Yeah.
but that was my choice. And I had
Okay.
reached out to him to get the ball rolling, and I had to agree to it. So, but he
Okay.
was the one that actually had to reach out to the courts and ask.
Okay.
And then they got a hold of me and I said, yes, I'm okay with it. Because I wanted to see my
Do you feel like-
nephews.
Right, right.
Do you feel
Chris-
like he's not going to be a repeat offender?
That I'm not sure.
Oh,
I thought it
Okay.
was just in the family. I have since found out that he abused others.
oh,
So I don't know.
okay.
He said he's not, like, he's still got the temper. And I guess that's getting curbed. I don't have anything to do with him anymore. I haven't
Okay.
seen him since my dad's marriage in 2011.
Okay.
Now, do you see your nephews?
His kids, no.
Okay.
The younger brother, I do. I'm in contact with his 5 through Facebook. I'd like to see them in person. I saw one of them in person a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
But
Do you know the
because of
family? Go ahead.
because of my anxiety, I find it hard. Like, I would love to go to my niece's baby shower, but I know that there's going to be too many people there,
Right, right.
and so I won't be going.
Now, do you know who all within the family your brother, the older brother, has contact with? Does he have personal contact with other members of the family still?
the like the cousins and stuff, yes. I don't see him as much of a threat as the younger of the 2.
Oh, really?
Okay. Really?
Yeah. Because he has admitted that he did wrong and why he did it.
Okay.
And he was remorseful. He truly was.
Okay.
He actually, I asked him, I said, so what did you think when you found out that I charged? And he said he gave a sigh of relief.
Wow.
It's like, it finally is happening. Because we grew up in the church, and my mother was religiously abusing us, pushing the Bible down our throats.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's consequences to your actions was the big one that she would always push. And yet
Yeah.
she didn't like the fact that I charged.
Right.
Because, oh, what are people going to think about our family? Well, I don't really
Exactly.
care.
Right, right. Crystal, when you finally, when you got a chance to talk to your brother, and I understand that it was your choice.
Yeah.
When you were done with that, did you feel like you took some of your power back?
Yes.
Good.
Awesome. Good.
Yes. It was a very productive talk.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, we gave each other a big hug. He was my favorite brother.
Mm-hmm.
We were super close.
It is possible for abusers to get, caught up with a situation and, they're acting out against one particular person without necessarily having a sexual attraction, a natural sexual attraction, or something that's continuing towards, minors. And it sounds like that might be the case for the brother who was abusing you, that he's dealt with whatever that situation is, and he might not have that as a continuing thing.
Both brothers abused me.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah,
the
I missed the
oldest-
beginning, so I'm kind of coming in towards the
Yeah.
end. But
No, that's okay.
So pardon me with that, but I just want to tell you, Crystal, from what I've read here and from the little bit that we've been talking here, I am so proud of you.
Yeah.
You are so worthy to be here, to be sitting here, to be talking about this. Your story is very valuable to
Yeah.
other people. I'm seeing some
Very
of these comments, and people are, echoing things that you have to say, because these are all things that happen to all of us. I am a survivor of childhood and adult sexual assault. I understand what you're going through, and that's why, we started another area for people, so that they could have this extra, layer of support as well. And I can't say I'm proud of you that you took back your control and that you really do feel that, because you are in charge of your life now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you get to make the decisions over your body, over your brain, over
Yeah.
what you are going to do.
Yes.
And you're a survivor.
Yeah, you are.
You're strong.
Yeah.
I like to put it a little bit of a different way.
Okay.
Sure.
Surviving is what we did growing up as
Okay.
we went through it. Now I am thriving.
Yes, you are.
I am no longer a survivor. I am beyond survivor mode.
I
Yeah.
love that.
I love that. That's awesome.
And it's so true. It's so true.
Mhm.
We survive the abuse when we're in it. We're just
Yeah.
surviving. On that Maslow's pyramid of hierarchy needs, like our most basic needs are not even getting met. So we're literally
Yeah.
surviving.
Yeah.
I love that. I,
Yeah.
I just wow.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, so your mom religiously abused you.
Yeah.
Are you how are you working through that? Did you have to I know Carol came out of a cult and Rebecca came out of a cult. Cosmic was in a cult. Um I wasn't, but my childhood was extremely strict. Think of Footloose. So how did you deal with that? I mean, that's a lot of layers. So things are really starting to make sense. Have you started to get into dealing with the religious side of it? Because that can be a lot to untangle just on its own.
Um, I have always had a very strong relationship with my Lord and Jesus Christ, my
Mhm.
creator.
Mhm.
Um, Mainly what she would do is she would shove Bible verses down our throats.
Yeah.
I had a crush on a guy at one point who had been married, was divorced, and had a kid. And she gave me a whole bunch of Bible verses, and I asked what they were for, and she says, they're on adultery. I'm like, it's so yeah. She shoved the Bible down my brother's throat when he went to jail. Um, Told him he had to read it, that kind of thing. I had my own faith.
Yeah.
She questioned my faith
Mm.
because it wasn't the same as what she believed.
Right.
My mother was also physically, emotionally, sexually, and spirit. Yeah, every type of abuse.
Oh
To
my
you,
God.
So yeah.
to you.
Yeah, not uncommon. So you
Mhm.
have your own relationship now with your
Yes.
higher power, and it's on
Yes.
your terms and in regards to what you believe. Wonderful.
It always has been.
Wonderful. Fabulous.
And that's
Mhm.
So
on to your higher power, God. You believe in Lord and Jesus, that you could hold on to Jesus and you could hold on to God in that is a testament to your faith. I
Yeah.
mean, to go
it's
through something like that, most people would be like, yo, are you there?
Hmm.
Are you there? But for you to hold
Mhm.
back to that is a
Yeah.
testament of your your faith. And that's a
yeah.
beautiful thing. I mean, I love it when people believe in something bigger than themselves because I think that's really important. And I don't
Mhm.
care how that looks for you. I'm glad that you have that. I'm
Hmm.
so I'm so glad, and I'm glad you were able to keep that. And I'm sorry that
Mhm.
you had the Bible used against it, like weaponized against you in that way.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
a lot about you to continue in your faith.
Mm-hmm.
Stay strong.
Yeah.
Crystal, where would you like to be in a year from now?
Well, within the next couple of months, I'm hoping to be in an apartment building in my community called Dawnview.
Okay, well, physically, you're going to be moving
Physically?
somewhere. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Do you have a
There's-
spot emotionally where you think, well, within the next year or two, that this is what I want to look like?
I haven't really thought of that. Part of needing to move is I need to start to be able to get better
Mm-hmm.
emotionally. Because of everything, I've got CPTSD,
Yeah.
borderline personality disorder, which from some of the reading that I've done is actually, they're trying to get it changed to being developmental trauma.
Okay.
But
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot
I
more
was-
sense.
And
Yeah.
I was reading that there's a woman, and there's a part of psychology that actually breaks down borderline personality disorder into 4 different subtypes. And one of
Okay.
them is much closer to what you're talking about, Crystal, in terms of having them redefine it. So I have a feeling that there might be a split there, because she's like, there's just some overlaps, and it's sometimes we get so stuck on labels that it's like, am I this one or am I this one? Well, you're kind of both. Let's just deal with the traits and your feelings and what's going on. And there are some psychologists that get way too honed in on that that DSM diagnosis as to what they need to do.
yes. Yeah.
So.
The diagnosis of the borderline personality disorder really was helpful because I'd been wanting to work on the emotions, because I literally can go from 0 to 100 in seconds.
Oh, yes.
Especially when it comes to anger.
Oh.
And it's of course, it doesn't help. My genealogy is English, German, and Ukrainian, which are all very strong with the anger and those strong
Polish
emotions.
Polish Catholic Marine father. So I'm right there with you, Crystal. I feel you.
Because of I didn't know what the emotions were, because we weren't allowed to have emotions. And so with having the diagnosis, it actually forced the supports that I worked with and the counselors that I was working with to deal with the emotions. And I had been asking to do that for years at that point, because I didn't.
Go ahead. I'm so sorry.
I didn't know how to be happy. I still don't really know how to be happy. So,
putting words to those feelings and trying to be able to explain those feelings, that's got to feel good for you, that you're kind of getting somewhere and being able to delve into those. That's wonderful.
I was going to ask, has your therapist talked about DBT training at all for you?
we have tried on more than one occasion, and it does not work for me.
Okay.
Oh, okay. What doesn't work? Just because I've not met anybody that it didn't work for, so I'm interested. That's not a bad thing.
No, I can't understand the concept.
Okay.
And every time we would start trying to work through, I have the DBT workbook, but every time I start working through it, I get so overwhelmed and so frustrated. That's why doing the trauma therapy with her has been extremely helpful.
Good.
When I'm needing to, I can actually talk to her in depth and go through a memory with her.
Yep. Take a piecemeal.
And that helps a lot. And I'm the one that guides it.
Wonderful.
She's there to support. She's not the one that
Wonderful.
takes me down in. I am the one that goes into it myself.
Right on.
So
I love your hat, Cosmic.
I bought it at the beach yesterday.
It looks great.
Hey.
Yay.
Just sort of
I'm glad you
joined
went to the
hat
beach.
parade. Yeah, it was nice.
I wish I could
Crystal,
go to the beach.
So do all of we. We made her go first.
Yeah. I miss the beach so much. Oh,
I'm glad you did because it was a reset. So I feel a lot happier today because I got to touch the ocean.
that's
Oh,
great.
awesome.
I love it.
So
Yay.
happy for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to do it more. And the water was so warm. I could have gone for a swim, but I didn't take my togs, my
Oh,
bathing suit. So, but I was listening, Crystal, and my therapist, my psychologist, he talks about a borderline personality disorder and how it can sometimes be a bit of a negative thing to get because a lot of therapists don't think it can be treated, which is a lie. It can. So you need to find the right therapist. Well, obviously, you've got the right therapist, but you know, it's a negative thing to get. Really, it's a negative not to have. Because as a person, I have traits, but it's as far as the mental health community, they look down on it because it's like, oh well, we can't treat them, so they put them in the too hard basket.
Thankfully, both my
psychologists who are kind of married to the DSM,
Exactly.
You need the ones who can look outside of that and look at the traits of what things are.
Yeah, and the reasons why, not just don't just treat the symptoms, treat the cause.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of times they're just treating the symptoms, like the outbursts of anger, all that sort of stuff. They're not actually treating the cause of that sort of stuff, which stems generally from childhood, because you're not born with BPD. You're not born with personality disorders. They're developed.
That's right.
By our situation.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
I agree.
It's an environmental thing. Yeah.
I want to share a little bit of I don't know if it's call it an analogy, but a demonstration that a psychologist had given me. And at the time, cerebrally, I could understand what she was saying, but until I was delving more into my childhood trauma, I didn't really see the correlations to my current day life. And as I was telling her things that were bothering me and that were going on, she's like, think of a tree, this big, huge, blossomed old tree. She said, what you're talking about is all the stuff on the tree. There's a bird here, there's an apple here, there's just stuff on the tree. She's like, you're not even getting to the branches underneath yet. That's going to be some more core stuff. She goes, but we follow those down. Where are we going? She goes, we go all the way to the roots. And that's what's keeping that stuff in you and keeping you in those emotions and not being able to deal with things. And that is your childhood.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to make the connection between the two until I kind of started going through that. And so for me, that's always just kind of been a good vision of reminding myself, what am I dealing with here? Am I dealing with a core cause? Am I dealing with just kind of that, outside stuff? Where am I with it? So just thought I'd share that.
Yeah. And also, as well as that, sorry, I'm distracted by music.
Sorry.
That's all right. I just got distracted. I was like, that sounds so pretty. Yeah, but as far as, especially things with, say, if your mother, especially your mother or parents are not as caring as they should be, that can cause you to have intensive, I heard, and intense issues as well, developing relationships with people and all that sort of stuff, like, especially because you're abandoned, basically. So you have this sense of abandonment from a very young age, and it just keeps going all the way through life until, I guess, you find someone who really doesn't abandon you. I haven't found that yet. Well, I have my friends, my best friends. They haven't abandoned me, but it's my mother did, and so that's created this sense of abandonment and this people pleasing aspect that I've got to do because I've got to try and make sure that nobody leaves me anymore.
Yeah.
So there's a whole range of things that can stem from having, not a great parent, and that's not. And I don't just blame the mother, both parents, because both parents are important. But yeah, there's a lot that comes from our childhood that we don't even know until we look into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I literally had to take over the house when I was 12 because my mom got sick.
Oh.
And so I was doing everything. And
oh my God.
yeah.
A lot of
And
responsibility for a young girl.
Yeah, it is.
plus dealing with my brothers and what was going on because it was still going on.
Oh,
That fall, I ended up pregnant and had no idea. Miscarried all on my own. Didn't know what was going on.
oh my God.
So yeah,
Crystal.
when I finally had the courage to tell my mother that there was to be absolutely no contact, that was the most freeing that I ever had.
Right on.
I can only imagine.
Right on.
It still took another 2 years before I felt like I could actually just start to look at what she had done and how she had been abusive, because she was abusive up until I got contact.
Yeah.
Don't short sell yourself saying, it took me another 2 years, because there's some of us where it takes us another 20, 30, 40 years to be able to look at this stuff.
Decades.
Yeah. So
I'm
2
still
years is nothing, Crystal.
Yeah.
Pat yourself on
I
the
still
back
haven't
and
touched
give
my
yourself
soul.
a huge hooray. Exactly.
That's some self-awareness. Beautiful.
And because how many of us ever went to press charges?
Right.
Had that courage to move forward with something like that. I know that I didn't.
I didn't either.
And any of them. And
I did it out of fear.
Yeah, and
That's
it's
brave
unfortunate that had to happen, but it's obviously the best in the long run for you. But it still takes a very strong internal fortitude to be able to do that, to say the fear is more than what is going on. Which one's going to win out, which one's going to win out, and I need to have this one gone, and I'm going to swallow that fear for a second and then deal with this. So kudos.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I just about did not make it to the sentencing.
Well, that would have been understandable.
No, the younger of my two brothers was married in May, and I attempted after his wedding. So thankfully, I'm still here.
Exactly.
What you're saying
and a year or a month later, they went to court for sentencing, and the next day I wrote my last grade 12 final. So
wow, I'm so thankful you're still here.
Exactly. You almost didn't make it, but you did make it.
Yeah.
But you did. So obviously he had a different plan for you and said, no, you're staying here. You've got more work to do.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you've done a lot of it. And I only wish you the best moving forward, dealing with the emotional side of things. And it sounds like you have a wonderful therapist who's really kind of just holding your hand, but allowing you to unravel, untangle this kind of at your own pace and taking it, in bite-sized pieces, things that make sense to you, and not trying to force a particular healing path down for you. So that's wonderful, because it takes some of us a long time to find somebody who we really gel with like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a treasure to find a good therapist.
I've had a few good ones.
Good.
Unfortunately, like my very first counselor, she was really good, but she moved away. and it was too far to continue seeing her.
Yeah.
And then my next really good one was when I was in Bible school, and I moved, and we just ended up becoming really good friends. And her and I are still, like, I'm still in contact with my first counselor. I'm still in contact with my second counselor, and this one, and now this one that I'm seeing now. I've been seeing her for 8+ years.
Wow.
So
That's so
Wow,
good.
that is
So
just
glad you
so
had that
awesome.
therapist. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like
I'm thankful too.
you have had a good run of things with that. So, oh wow.
Yeah.
Congrats.
I've had a few
Congrats.
bad ones too, but you know.
Yeah.
And we toss those ones aside and move on to the next one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. For the longest time, it was like I would get a therapist, and even if they were good or if they weren't good, they were getting changed almost every year.
Yeah.
And that was hard because you just learn to trust somebody else, and then they're gone. And it was either because I moved or they moved, or one moved to adult services when I was still a teen. And then when I could go and see her finally, she was transferred down to youth. So I couldn't see her. So yeah,
I'm quite lucky because I see a private one now. Because before, when I had
Yeah.
was through the government one, they would get changed constantly. There was because they move on to better opportunities or something, and it's just like now I have to start again. So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
you never get anything fixed. You only get past a certain bit. So it's good that I've been seeing this one for a while because I've gotten past all the stuff that I needed to get through. So
Yeah. That's this one that I'm seeing now. She's private.
yeah. Oh, mine's still paid for by the government because I'm on the disability scheme, insurance scheme. But I can choose anyone I want, so that's good.
Awesome.
Hi, Soja.
Hey, welcome back.
We're getting crowded. I'm going to drop off because I have a few things I need to do, but I'm going to keep listening for you.
Love you.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Wonderful meeting you, Crystal. Take care.
Yeah.
There we go.
Thank you,
I missed
Sharon.
Sharon too, didn't I?
Well, this has been amazing. Thank you so much, Crystal.
For sharing.
You're welcome.
Wow.
I might
I'm
miss
just
a few
I'm in
meetings.
awe of you. I really am in awe of you.
Hey,
Truly.
I'll have to
Truly.
go back and watch it because now that the daylight savings has changed, it's an hour earlier for me.
Yeah.
I'm driving my son to work.
Yeah.
So
Do you guys have daylight savings time too?
not in Queensland, no. It confuses the
Okay.
cows and it makes the curtains fade.
Oh, is today Mother's Day for you, Catholic?
I don't think so.
Okay, I know it was in the UK.
It's UK, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I think so.
I didn't know if that, like, I know my state geography. That's
Yeah,
why.
I think ours is in May. Yeah, I don't know. I don't pay much attention because my mother don't get nothing.
That?
You're getting ready to go on to My Other's Keeper channel to share
Yes.
your experiences. That's coming up on the 14th. Is that right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's My Other's Keeper. Is that the name of the channel?
Yes.
Okay.
It's in.
We
If
did
you're
the
in
taping
Discord-
for it yesterday. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Good.
If if you're in Discord, there's a My Others Keeper channel in there, and there's links and stuff. And if there's not, I'll put some up.
Okay. Good
Perfect.
deal.
And I think that she had said 7:30 Central was going to be the timing for that on the 14th.
Yeah. We have to pre-record because by 7:30 I'm in bed and hopefully asleep.
Nice.
That's fair.
I wish I could keep the early morning hour schedule and not stay up half the night. I've always wanted to be a morning person and early to bed, early to rise.
Not
Just
me.
didn't seem to-
I'm a morning person. I am so cranky in the morning. I am. My girls figured out that if they asked me to do something they knew they weren't allowed to do in the morning, I was like, oh, and so we had to make a rule at my house that you were not allowed to ask mom anything before noon.
I had that same rule.
Completely different.
Yeah, I was like, if I'm asleep and you ask me something, it's an immediate no, even if I say yes to get you going away so I can go back to sleep. If I wake up and find out that you've done what I know that you're not supposed to do, you're going to be in so much trouble. But I'm a night owl and an early bird, so I don't get much sleep.
If I had my way, I would be a night owl, but I function better first thing in the morning. And
Right on.
my shift at work is from 5 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. So I'm up at 3.
Wow.
I'll be up at 5:30 tomorrow morning. I actually might make the meeting a meeting tomorrow because I will be probably done with really early, done with work really early because I'm seriously, I've got a 6 o'clock appointment with the user. So, but that's Central time. So I don't know what area of the country do you live in, Crystal? If
Saskatchewan.
I may ask. Oh, okay. So North.
Are you in Central time zone more, or do you know if it's Central or Eastern?
It'll be Central. We do not change. Our time does not change.
Right on. I wish ours didn't. Lordy.
I agree. I wish ours didn't either.
I do too.
And where are you guys all?
I am in Arkansas, which is Central. I'm in the same time zone as you. I'm in Central time.
I'm Minnesota, so same time zone.
Okay.
Of course, it might be a little different since we just moved ahead.
Yeah.
Right now it's currently like 5:03.
And it's 4:03 here.
Okay.
It's 8:03 here a.m. on Monday. Bye for the future.
Yeah. Happy Monday.
Which is looking good.
We made it. Woohoo!
Well, I did.
Yeah,
this side of the world did. Well,
And Crystal, I'm currently in Baltimore, but I will be all over traveling. So right now I'm Eastern time, so it's 4 here.
And I'm in Quebec, so I'm Eastern time zone.
So you're 2 hours ahead?
I'm 6:05 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. Perfect. I never know. I just put it in the Google box and I say, tell me what this time zone is to mine. Thank you.
I used to have to know that. I work for Walmart Canada.
Okay.
And because I used to be in the offices, I had to know what time zone our home office was in. Because when I'm trying to get a hold of people, you kind of have to remember those time zones.
Yeah.
I use my world clock on my phone.
Oh, there you go. I did have a job where I had to know it. I had to know, like, okay, this is this time zone, so I need to calculate. But after that job, I stopped caring.
Yeah. I'm not in the offices anymore, so.
And I just want to let everybody know, Wee Man said hello. That's why I ran away for a second there. Well, a little bit longer than a second, but he says hello, and I missed everybody already. And he's like,
And I'll find out mine Minecraft. thing. So I'm pretty sure I can
Thank
play it
you.
on my computer. I can make it so I can play anyone.
Okay.
So,
He'll love
on
that.
any-
He's
on
on a
any
Switch.
version.
He was asking all weekend, and I was just like, honey, she might be busy. I'm not sure, you know.
Yeah.
So I got
Yeah,
the
I'll
call
figure
to
it
be like,
out.
I'm demanding you, mother, to message Minecraft Christy and get her username.
I'm on it.
I just thought it was so funny. My 6-year-old demanded me, hey, Mikey.
Mikey.
Aw.
You get it, puppy.
Oh, is Sweetie in there too? Yeah, she's just hiding behind
Yeah.
Mikey. There she is.
I love how dogs look at their people.
I know. My Petey looks at me like I'm just everything, and I just like, it melts me.
This is my other.
Your other support
Aw.
animal,
Yeah.
support kitty. Hi,
So
kitty.
the orange and white one is Leo.
Yep.
What's
This
this
one is
one?
Patches.
Sorry?
Patches.
Patches. You.
Patches.
Oh my Patches. I love it.
Oh.
She's mad. I disturbed her sleep.
I don't need to be on camera, mother.
I have got to hop off so I can start dinner because it is 6 and I think Michael has stretched out his back kind of as long.
Thank you for stretching it out, Michael.
One funny story before I leave.
We're having a little trouble hearing you, Christy.
Can you hear me now? Is that better? Is
Yeah, and I'll turn you up here. Yeah, I think so.
that better? Can you
I
hear
think so. Yeah.
me?
I keep hearing guitar music.
Yeah, that's my husband.
Well, maybe
That's my
that's
husband
me.
playing. I can
Oh.
hear.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Now? Okay.
I think so.
I'll tell you one quick funny story because this is my way to honor Steve because he always laughed at my stupid funny stories and always how I still honor Steve after me.
You're cutting out a little bit.
Oh, you know what? I'll tell it tomorrow.
I can hear you perfectly now. Whatever you did. Yeah.
It's when Steve gets a little bit louder, a little bit more forte with his strings. That's when we start having you start cutting in and out a little bit. It's like I think it's like a sound thing on the restring.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, or I can just wait until tomorrow. It's a funny story that came in. So I'll go ahead and just hop off and I'll share the story tomorrow.
Good night. Love you.
Love you, Christy.
You all. Crystal, you're amazing. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing. I
Yeah.
learned a lot from you today. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll be going back and like listening to everything that I missed in the middle there. Be like, okay, where did I pop off? And there. Okay.
Speaking of guitars,
I'll be
I
going
found
back
one.
and watching.
Ooh. Yay.
Yeah, Zach left it here. I now. Ha. No, but really, I looked it up first to see how much it was worth, and
Yeah.
it's not really worth much. So if it was worth more, I'd be like, give it back. But it's not. So mine.
There you go. Do you already know how to play?
I know how to read music and tabulate music and all that, and I know all the keys and the chords. It's just my hands don't match my brain.
Fair. Yeah.
And I got tiny little baby hands. Like, this is as big as I am.
It's a human size.
Well, I've only ever had the like 3/4 size ones before. Yeah. So this one's a bit bigger.
Yeah.
And it's already cut me.
Uh-oh.
Oh dear.
I spilled my blood, so it's mine now. Definitely. Got my blood on it. My DNA.
It bit me. It made me bleed. It's mine.
It's like kids, I bite you, now you're mine.
Okay, maybe that rule doesn't work for children with me. Oh, goodness.
I just want it back. All right, well, I might go because I've got a cleaner coming today, and I haven't done anything for a week. So
Cleaning up for the cleaner. Yeah. So you're that's a thing that people do. I've done it too, though. When Mom was alive, I used to have someone come in and help us every now and again. And yeah, I get
clean
it.
with her. Yeah, because I can't just sit around while someone else cleans. So I'm just like, so, but yeah. All right, then I love you guys, and hopefully
Love you too.
Yeah.
Love you too. Have a great day.
See you, Cosmic.
You too.
See you later. Eventually, I'll get this right.
I need to
It's
go
not awkward.
too. I'm fading fast.
It was amazing to see you, Rebecca. Missed you a
Yeah, I'm
lot.
so happy to see you.
I miss you guys a lot.
I missed
Yeah.
you.
Tomorrow, I have that call and the users, because I do, Crystal, you may not know, I do IT.
Okay.
My user that I'm trying to help is in Spain, so that's why I'm doing that at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I didn't realize when I planned that daylight savings time coming,
No.
so technically I'm getting up at what was 4:30
Yeah.
last week. Because it's 5:30 this week, I've got to get up because our appointment's
Yeah.
at 6, so I've got to get up early. I got to at least be awake
Yeah.
enough to be able to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But waking up with coffee and functional enough to speak.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I better know how to do my job.
Yeah. Yeah. You kind of have to do that. No, do your job.
I will be going to bed early too. So I do tend to go to bed like you do, Crystal. I go to bed some days as early as like 6:30 to 7, but I sleep a lot. I take a nap I'm long COVID, so I take a nap during the day usually, and then I sleep, 9 hours at least every night. When my cat doesn't.
It's like, well, but I need attention. Come on, wake up.
Hours since you loved on me. She's, I think, in my bedroom.
Amazing.
Probably, because she's not out here anymore.
She's like, okay, so Mom, it's time for snuggles in bed. Come on, snuggles.
She does that.
That's adorable.
Mike can sleep with me
Great to
too.
see you all.
Oh,
Take care.
Good night. Take care.
love you, Rebecca.
See ya. Thank
You
you.
guys too.
Look at the kitty.
Leo.
Leo.
Oh my good. He looks so wrinkled.
He does.
I'm right here.
His,
love it.
his full name is actually Filio, which
Oh,
means
okay.
brotherly love.
Right on.
So
Love
his
that.
name is Love,
That's
and he
amazing.
is Love. So, yeah.
Good.
Well,
Oh,
thank
So-
you.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you so much. Yeah.
This
I'm
is
excited to go back and watch it, and I'm excited to see the 14th. It's really been
Yeah.
wonderful getting to know you. It really has.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to continue to, this
Yeah.
wonderful process. I love it.
it's nice
you-
to get to know you guys.
Right on. Have you told your therapist yet that you're kind of doing this peer support thing?
I haven't told her about this peer support thing, but she
Okay.
does know that I'm doing the meeting with Kim on her channel.
Right on.
So
Well, it's powerful. What you have to offer is so powerful. Thank you.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If I can help people, I'd do it all over again.
Wow.
So
Right on.
not that I really want to, but
Yeah. Yeah.
there's a reason I went through it, and
Yeah.
I want to use that reason to help other people.
Yeah. 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 It just for it to not all be in vain is so important.
Yeah. Well, and just to bring awareness,
Mhm.
because like to begin with, when people would ask me or hear my story, they'd be so surprised to hear that I had multiple abusers.
Yeah.
And then I went into this one treatment facility. It was actually an inpatient facility. And they actually asked, who were your abusers? And I was
Oh,
like, wow, because in their sphere of influence, most people have more than one.
okay.
So,
Wow. Wow.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, predators have a sense
mhm.
about who is a potential mark.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't pretend to know what it is. I almost don't want to know, but other than to protect people, you know.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the majority of predators are in jobs or are in places where they have readily access to whoever their targets are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but,
It's the vulnerability. Yeah, that's
yeah,
what Surviving Together Sharon says. It's the vulnerability.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Sometimes, Misha a few weeks ago had said sometimes you feel like a targeted individual. And then, because that vulnerability or people take my honesty or kindness, and I'm sure that they do it with many others here. My honesty and my kindness is a weakness. And I'm starting to learn how to educate myself in the areas that I need to be educated in to not allow myself to fall back into those traps.
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's inspiring to hear how you're able to help so many already, Crystal.
Yeah.
It gives me hope.
yeah.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And every person's story is different, and it can help somebody else.
That's right.
Like
Yeah.
I still put up with bullying and stuff at work, and it's gotten to the point where it's like, no, this isn't right.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually, and we have a good manager that I can go to and say, like, look, this is what happened, and I've gotten to, I'll sit down and email it to him so that there's at least a record, a
Okay.
physical record, so
Good.
that if it continues to happen, I can go to HR and say, like, look,
Yeah.
get rid of these people. So,
Yeah.
and one is thankfully gone now.
Good.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
So,
And
just
hopefully
two more to go.
they learn something. Like they learn that they cannot just treat people however.
Yeah.
Ideally.
Well,
Ideally.
I mean, that's
Well,
the hope.
the
Yeah.
two that are left are in their 70s or 80s. And so they're the dirty old men, to put it bluntly. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know, and I don't feel like giving them a pass just because they're of that generation. Mm-mm.
No. And I don't. The
Yeah.
one keeps saying that I'm not respectful of him, and in my email to the manager I said, how is he being respectful of me when he's coming into where I'm working and trying to
Right.
take stuff that I'm using and then telling me that I'm being disrespectful for standing up for myself.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Gaslighting
both ways.
101. Yeah.
Goes both ways.
Yeah. Right on.
Mhm.
Right
Good for
on.
you.
Yeah.
So you got to stand up for yourself, because in most situations nobody else is.
I know it. And yeah.
So
Hmm. Yeah, standing up for yourself and boundaries. I would say those are some of the two hardest things that we can learn in life.
yeah.
after all of our stuff, right? Trying to figure out how to think positively enough on ourselves to be like, boundaries and standing up for myself is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And boundaries is a tough one,
It
especially
is tough.
when you've had them violated and when there hasn't been boundaries.
Yeah. I was in my 30s before I realized what boundaries actually were and that I had a right to them. No clue.
Yeah.
No clue. And when I first started, figuring out what they were and enforcing them, I was a holy terror. But it was such a scary thing to do. I did it. I enforced. I stated and enforced my boundaries in a kind of amped up way because it was that terrifying the first few times I did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the term RSD came up recently, rejection sensitivity disorder or dysphoria, sorry. And for me, my RSD is linked to my I put down a boundary and then my RSD starts acting up because then I start cycling on how is this person going to reject me? How is this person going to no longer want to be a part of my life because I can't do that.
Yeah.
Boundaries are scary.
They are, but it's so necessary.
Yeah.
There's just no way to keep from being just washed, just thrown like we're in some kind of riptide without them.
Yeah.
And that's no way to live. That's no way to live.
The best way I had it described to me recently was I'm a recovering doormat. Yeah. I was having a conversation with somebody and they said it that way. I'm like, okay, that's like the perfect way to put it for my brain. Thank you.
Well, when I first moved away from the farm and into a bigger community, it was I guess in Canada standards, it was a small city, about 10,000. When mom and dad had to sell the farm, or what was left of the farm, they chose the community I was in instead of the community one of my brothers was in that had 5 of their grandkids, because she felt she had to control as much as she could about my life.
Yeah.
And when I moved to where I am now, which is struggling to become a city, but we're just hovering at that 5,000 mark. And we're a very transient community, so we'll probably never get to the 5,000.
A lot of the prairies.
When I got there, or when I came here, I'm like, they are not following me. There is no way they are allowed to do that. I will put my foot down.
Right on. Yeah.
So, and the only reason my mother saw my trailer that I live in is because they showed up unexpectedly and unwanted.
What'd you do? If you don't mind my asking.
I freaked out. I was actually at work at the time, and thankfully it was my evening shift. So I only would have an hour to be with them. But I'm literally, as I'm hugging my mother, one of my managers who actually knew my story came out of the office. She didn't know. She had heard the page for me to come to the front. And she came out and she's looking at me going, I didn't know, and mouthing it to me. And I'm like looking at her going, what do I do? What do I do? But they had my trunk of all my toys and a bunch of other stuff because I now had my own place. I owned it. And that is the only reason why she got to see the inside of my trailer.
Okay.
Because they had stuff they had to give me.
Okay.
But thankfully, I only had that hour that I could possibly be with them.
Yeah.
Now, because of being with the company for as long as I have. If I had have said, can I just go, they would have said, sure, no problem. But I didn't want that.
No,
Yeah.
I
the
was
excuse was
glad
nice.
that there was that only amount of time.
Yeah.
And when I finally said absolutely no contact, she phoned and left a message on my answering machine. And I freaked out. So I literally right then and there, I wrote out another letter to her saying, you are not under any circumstance to leave a message on my machine, give me an email, or come down. That was a violation of what I had already told you, and I mailed it off. The only way she could get a hold of me was through snail mail, so that I could have a support person with me when I opened those letters.
Right on.
But of course,
Wow.
the support person didn't know how to read between the lines like us kids learned. So
Yeah.
they're like, oh, well, that sounds okay. And I'm like, yeah, no, this is what it actually means.
Right on. Yes. Yes. Wow. That was so smart on your part.
When I
Just leave it at
finally,
that one, yeah.
when I finally wanted to have contact with my dad again, I sent him a Father's Day card because they're both really close together. And I put a specific little envelope in and I said, for Dad's eyes only. And I told him, these are the parameters that you can get a hold of me. You can call me when I'm at work and Mom is not in the house. So she couldn't hear the conversations. And he actually respected that.
Good.
So
That's awesome. That's amazing.
he wouldn't even call me when Mom had her heart attack because
Wow.
he didn't want to phone me from their place knowing that I would be at home.
Right.
So it had to be my sister-in-law that called me. So
Right on.
he was respectful of that.
Good.
I'm happy he was for you.
Yeah. And 2 years later, when my best friend passed away, he was actually the first person I reached out to and said, can you come down? I need help.
Okay. Yeah. Because he was respectful of your boundaries, you felt safe enough to do that. That's yeah. Yeah. Aw.
So him and his new wife came down and stayed with me for the weekend and then came back for the day of the funeral.
Okay.
So,
Right on.
but, yeah. Now I don't even talk to him either.
Oh, really? Oh.
Not much.
Okay. Mrs. Lady Hummingbird says, I wish I were at that point in my life with my mom. 12 years and counting, no contact. I just can't with her. Too toxic.
Yeah.
I feel
No.
Yeah.
And I had to cut the contact. Like, she's gone now, but like I didn't talk to her for the last 2 years of her life.
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. That's okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I did find there is a extremely fine line between love and hate.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's just which side are you going to be on today?
Yeah.
Which side of the bed did I wake up on? That's the question now.
Well, there's things about her that I do like and love her for, but for the most part, no.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, when someone is not good for your well-being, family or no, blood is not a consideration there when they cross those lines.
Yeah. Family is who we make it.
Yeah.
Yep.
The people we choose.
Exactly.
Whether they have fur on or not.
He's like, I'm just a tiny human in a fur coat. What are you talking about?
He talks like it too.
orange ones usually are very mouthy.
Mine is.
And
I have an orange one, and he tells me, he gives me the what for every day.
Yeah.
yeah.
He's really chatty.
Oh, and he gets after his sister all the time, which frustrates me. So
He's like, what? Were you trying to relax?
no, he attacks her like a male cat would a female.
Of
And
course.
both of them are fixed.
Yeah.
And yet he won't leave her alone, and she hates her back end being touched. So she's growling and hissing and spitting, and he's
Then
yeah,
the fur tap.
they fight. But
Oh my goodness.
I wouldn't change them for the world.
No. No.
It's
Oh
our
my
fur
goodness.
babies. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I don't know about y'all, but I really feel like I've had a meeting. This has been amazing. Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful.
In the in the chat here, put a 2 if anybody's needing a meeting still. A 3 if you're good. Think of it as 2 still need to dump. 3, as part of a heart, I'm good kind of thing.
Every time I hear it, the
I
inner
don't know
child comes out.
another way to put it that makes it stick, like that does. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus,
Just the inner child comes out every time. She's like, she said 2 for a dump.
Thanks for the laugh.
oh, Lord.
Oh goodness.
Seeing some 3s here.
Yeah.
Yes, it's been good.
This has been good. Really good. One of the better meetings we've had in a while. So I appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys.
Of course.
You've helped a lot this last week.
I'm so glad. Yay.
Good.
That's the only reason to be doing this. Is that somebody, hears something that they need to hear, or, sees something they need to see, and,
Yeah. Stacia, I must say, you are the second person with that name that I've ever heard.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's
first
short.
one is my niece.
Okay. And did she go by Stacia too instead of the full Anastasia?
Actually, she was just named Stacia.
Okay, so I'm Anastasia.
Okay.
But my name is so long, and trying to have kids say it is hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. So we just, or not we, I just was like, okay, we'll shorten it. And Stasia just stuck everywhere. And I'm like, that's good enough. My name is long enough as is. Let's take a few letters out. Thank you. But that's amazing. I've actually never heard somebody just called Stasia. So I'm super excited about that. Actually, I'm like, that's how it should be. The other way's too long.
So Ms. D, I'm if it's what you're asking about, the 14th, Crystal's story is going to be on My Others Keepers channel. The channel name is My Others Keeper.
Oh, I also think she might be talking about how to join.
Oh, okay. Join needing a meeting,
like
or join...
like join in on the restream. So she had asked, do I have to download something?
No. If you wanted to to toggle in, when I put the link throughout, it just asks for a link, and I can put a link in. Here's what it'll look like.
And Miss D, when you click on that link, it will bring up whatever Chrome or internet provider, internet app you're using. Close out your YouTube, otherwise you're going to have an echo.
Yeah, we'll have that double, well in trouble.
And then when you come in, it'll give you the option of you can have your camera on or off right before you toggle, right before it says join stream.
Yeah.
And then it'll ask you to put what username you want to be showing as well.
And we are perfectly okay if you don't want to show your face. That's perfectly acceptable. We're just here for whatever you're needing a meeting for. We're just peer support. We don't claim to be, professionals in any way, shape, or form. It's just about peer support.
But that peer support does something. Crystal's already, she's saying it's helped a lot in the last week. And I know for me, it's helped a ton through everything I've been going through. And I've watched, watching the chat, everybody going on and talking with one another, sharing it. It's almost like a release. I feel like it's a release. I'm holding all of this in, and all of a sudden I get to just verbal vomit everywhere.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Lady Hummingbird, most laptops have a built-in microphone. When you click on that link, there'll be an icon with a microphone. Make sure it doesn't have a slash through it, and then if you don't want to come on camera, just make sure that that has a slash through it, if that makes sense. Are you wanting to come in today, or are you just asking for a future, or it is a release? You even feel it on the replay. Thank you for letting me know that, Kelly.
Oh, that's amazing to hear.
It is.
Yeah.
I have to find a 12-year-old to help me find it. The program should find it.
Miss Lady Hummingbird, if you are in the Lifeboat Facebook group or the Needing a Meeting, I'm in there, Stasia DeSantos. You're more than welcome to contact me, and I can walk through it with you if need be. I have no problem doing that whatsoever.
Awesome. Awesome, Ms. Lady Hummingbird. I look forward to meeting you.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Out of isolation. Yay!
Yes.
Isolation sucks.
Yes, it does, Monique. Oh, well, I feel so amazing. Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Not every meeting is like that. Sometimes we have to kind of soldier on through it, and those are okay too. It's all necessary. We're learning about connection, and having to relearn about connection, having come from those years of isolation, and just the world that we live in that almost forces us into some kind of isolation, and yeah.
And then we isolate ourselves further.
Yeah. Because of whatever it is,
Yeah.
And that's part of why I want to get into the place I'm wanting to get into is called Dawnview. And it's a community. They have meals together at times, and they look in on each other, and so that's why I'm wanting to do that as well, is
that's great
to start getting some new connections here,
mm-hmm.
because my best friend is moving to Calgary in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So
because of your faith, I know that it'll be in his timing, and it'll be perfect. Yeah.
And that's what I've had to remember this weekend, and just kind of rest in that.
Yeah.
The timing is going to be perfect. It's a little stressful because at the end of May, I won't have insurance on the trailer anymore.
Yeah.
And I have to have insurance on the trailer to continue being in the trailer.
Okay.
So, and to get insurance for the trailer, it's going to be probably close to $120 a month, if not more. And I'm only
double.
I'm only paying $60 right now. Okay. So.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. But I'll have to look into that and
come in
make
here.
Sure it'll still be okay.
Yeah. This is like my daily reprieve. I'm English speaking in Quebec. So,
yeah.
90% of Canada speaks English. So this is like my little reprieve. And to be perfectly honest with you, if you would have told me 6 months ago I would meet people on the internet and love them just as much as I would love somebody that I could actually physically sit next to or hug, I wouldn't have believed you.
Right
I
on.
really wouldn't have believed you.
Me neither. I have
Yeah,
a few friends from the States and one from England that I've never met. I met them in a book club. And through this and through Kim helping me figure this kind of stuff out, I actually want to meet them.
Right
Yeah.
I
on.
want to reach out and actually meet them this way.
Yeah.
So
Love that.
they don't need to see your butt there, boy.
We are, Gordo. It's been a good meeting. A really good meeting. And
Yes,
good to see you, Gordo. I'm glad you're here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just typing and trying to, yeah, that's the ADHD kicking in. Sometimes I can do it. Sometimes I'm like, did I say something out loud? No? Okay.
My husband was in there calling my name. He does that. Just
He's in the barn?
he was in the kitchen just calling my name repeatedly. It's like, look, if you're going to do that, Buster, you're coming on the air.
Just come sit
He didn't want
down.
to come on
That's
air,
enough.
so yeah, I'm not being distracted anymore. Took my little one to the movies, so I just got home. Right on. That sounds fun.
What movie did you see?
For when I really have dementia. I'm practicing for when I really do have dementia. I won't know what for. And so I'm practicing now so it comes natural.
Perfect. Kung Fu Panda 4.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
cute. I didn't even know that there was a number 4.
Yeah.
It just came out.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll
Okay, so now I have 2 movies I need to see. Oh, well, I'm just going to wait until the apartment now. And then once I have the apartment and it's all set up, that's going to be a treat for myself. I'm going to spend like a week every single night going to the theater because the town I'm going back to has a tiny, tiny little movie theater. And I mean, tiny, tiny. It's only got like 4 screens and the theater itself has like 35 seats maximum in each little theater. But they do English screenings because that town is 50-50. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to take like a night every night for a week and I'm just going to go to the theaters.
Our theater shows one movie a week.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
There's only one screen.
I feel like they should just make it like a bigger room with more seats and bigger screens. Like that would be a little bit more beneficial. But at the same time, it makes me think of when I was a kid and going to like I don't know if anybody else had those tiny little mall movie theaters. And you could just like sit down with your group of like friends and just a bunch of teenagers in there. And yeah, it just gives me good memories. That's all.
First time I went to a movie at a movie theater, I was in college.
Really?
Really?
Because
Yeah.
of the extreme religious household.
Well, we didn't have a theater in our small community. Like the town I went to school in was 500. And then there was like, we were the town, and then there was a village, a hamlet, and a resort that also came to our school.
Okay.
So, yeah. And we saw Dante's Peak, and then we drove home in a blinding snowstorm.
Of course.
Try
Saskatchewan.
try being extremely scared that something was gonna explode because it looked like the shell coming down in the movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. The first movie I saw in theater was the Santa Claus, that Tim Allen one.
Uh-huh.
And I saw that, of course, right around Christmas time. But like the first like real movie I saw in theaters was Twister. And I remember my dad took me and I'm sitting there terrified, absolutely terrified. And he's like, should we go? We left like halfway through.
Yeah.
I was that scared. So I get it. I can't imagine then being in a car trying to get home and all of these things are happening that makes you think of the movie. Ugh.
Yeah. Kelly, I live in Saskatchewan, Canada.
Yeah.
I'm more in the southern part now, so.
Okay.
Art houses, the small cinemas. Okay. Neat.
Art houses. Okay. Good to know.
Are those the ones that do the kind of the more independent films, alternative? You know, we had a movie theater that played repeats of old. It was the 70s, and they played repeats of the old 50s and 60s Disney movies, the little 1 hour one-offs, 1 hour, little Disney thing. So I don't really count that as an actual movie theater because, it was they just played the same things over and over and over. So my first actual feature film was Star Wars, the original one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That might also have like shaped your sci-fi existence now.
Yeah. Maybe so. I mean, I was just like, wow. Yeah, I loved it too.
I've been like stuck in everything sci-fi lately. I apparently don't want to watch anything else but Disney, the Disney Plus app thing. They have a bunch of anime that I haven't seen actually of Star Wars. So I need to like go and catch up. I'm on content overload.
We had a drive-in theater that just sold, and they're going to make it into something. I forget what, but it was still it wasn't like super active, like they only had movies at certain times, but it was a legitimate drive-in theater. Yeah, we used to have two. We actually had three in town. There was one out on the 112, one on the 71, and one on the 62 highways. So mind-blowing for us in 77. Mm-hmm.
I saw it there at the drive-in. Is that where you saw it at the drive-in?
No, I saw it at the Malco.
You saw it at the drive-in, 62.
Yeah, that where that Maggie Moo's is now. That used to be the Malco.
Yeah. I saw something when it first came out there.
He saw something, but he can't remember what. Yeah, that's one good thing about my first movie being Star Wars. That's one that you can't forget. And I still love it just as much every time I see it. That's the amazing part. I've seen it gazillions of times throughout my life, and it's always
my Mother's Day tradition.
Right
I watch as many of the original Star Wars movies I can in a day, and then I finish up the other ones throughout like the following week. But it's like my Mother's Day tradition.
Right on. Love that. Well, what do you think, guys?
I think I've had a meeting. How do you feel?
I feel like I've had a meeting. I feel good. Feel really good.
We're smiled. That's perfect.
Yeah.
I should probably go and get some supper and get to bed.
Yeah, you get up early. 3 in the morning. Yep. My goodness.
Yeah. Wow. I'm used to it.
Yeah. And if you're a morning person, that helps.
It's just I function better first thing in the morning.
Right on.
And I'm at work for at least an hour before most people get there. So
yeah,
I can actually feel like I'm getting something productive done.
Nice. Yeah.
And still have my afternoon.
Yeah. Love it.
There you go. You can actually still get some things for you done.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Not just filled with work only.
Most of the time I end up just sitting doing nothing in my chair, but yeah,
that's important too.
I was gonna say
it gives me the option to do stuff that I need to as well. So
yeah. Oh, our drive-in was taken out by an explosion next door. Ouch.
Ooh.
Oh no.
I wish I was too, Kelly. I wish I was a morning person too. So much.
I can stay up till morning.
Yeah.
Oh God, Steve.
I could probably do that too. But when you got medication that helps you sleep, you kind of have to go to bed at a regular time. And
Sleep hygiene, no matter what, is huge. Regular is steady time in bed and then a steady time to wake up. I find it helps a lot. I only need like an hour to wake up in the morning now. Whereas when I didn't really follow a sleep hygiene schedule, it was like, why are you talking to me for like 4 hours?
Well, Leo and Patches tell me if I'm late going to bed.
Perfect.
Oh, Gordo.
You're always up late, Gordo. I don't even know how you manage. I really don't.
That's amazing, Ms. Lady Hummingbird. I wish I was that person so much. So much of the day is gone. Like if I don't get the sleep that I need and I oversleep, so much of the day is gone, and it's so depressing.
You know, I actually have heard someone talking on that, and they said, your day doesn't have to start at 5 a.m. or 7 a.m. If you get up at noon, that's when your day starts.
Yeah.
And treat it that way instead of thinking, oh, well, I've slept half the day. And I've seen that with a couple of people that I know. They always worked a closing shift.
Yeah.
And so they slept until 2 hours before work.
Yeah.
And got up and went to work and then had their evening, which was in the middle of the night, and then went to bed, and it worked for them.
Yeah. Well, I have farm animals, so it doesn't quite work that way here.
Yeah.
But I have been making myself be in bed and have the thing on the screen that helps me sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm still having trouble sleeping, I have a herbal sleep aid that I like to take that has all these different herbs in it, coupled with a little bit, just enough melatonin in it that I don't wake up groggy the next morning.
Oh, good. Good. Yeah, I find melatonin does the same thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
I try to avoid it.
Yeah.
Didn't work for me.
It works. It just, boy, I pay for it the next day if I take just the melatonin alone.
The only time I noticed it really helped me and I didn't feel groggy was when I was working split shifts in restaurants. So I would open for breakfast or lunch, and then I would have 3-4 hours between my next shift, and then I'd finish at like 9-10 o'clock, still have to clean everything, and by the time I was home it was 11 o'clock, and 2 a.m. I was in bed. Like, those shifts suck. Split shifts suck.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had to do those.
Yeah.
They do. And that's the nature of that business, unfortunately.
Sadly. Yeah, unless you're management in the restaurant industry, you don't have a regular schedule. And even then, management, you still don't have a regular schedule because you're there until your staff's gone. So
I'm freaking out at the time. It's almost 6, and it's like I was like,
oh my goodness,
the sun's going to be going down here in a minute, but I've got another hour, so. Change is just. I'll be glad if I hope we're getting to where we're getting ready to do away with it here in this country, because it's ridiculous.
It's confusing.
So disrupting.
Yeah. There's been talk of it up here, but
yeah, they said a couple years ago it's gonna go, and I'm like, why are we still doing it? Please.
Yeah.
Duh. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go get myself some food.
Yes, me too.
Yes.
And
that's a good plan.
Right? The kitties are probably like, hey mom, food. I need food too.
They get fed their wet stuff in the morning, and then it's just they have dry stuff the rest of the day.
So do they like free feed? So you just fill their bowl? Oh, see, that's nice. I've always had cats that are like super food oriented. So either they need a robot to feed them 6 times a day, or I end up feeding them 6 times a day. So
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I love you guys. Have a great evening.
Yes.
You.
See you
Love
tomorrow.
you guys.
Love you
See
too.
you.
Oh, I almost hit the end one. Nope, we're just going to close that.
Flash leaning against the fence.
See you tomorrow, maybe?
Yeah. Yep. I'll be here.
Okay.
Lord,
Yeah.
Lord, the creek don't rise, as they say in the South.
Yeah.
We'll be here if the creek rises for sure.
Well, yeah, I'll still have to be here if the creek rises. So
because we can't get out.
yeah, because we're stuck here.
I don't know.
You want me to toggle you out?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out here, and it's not happening.
And unfortunately, I don't know what it looks like on your end.
Well, I think I got it right the one time, but I don't know.
I'll toggle you out, and
Yeah.
hopefully somebody will be in next time that can help you know, because I don't know what it looks like outside of Restream or outside of my part of Restream.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll see you, if not tomorrow, hopefully the next day, but hopefully tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Well, that was a good meeting, y'all. A long one, but a good one. And the extra daylight helps me out on that a lot, you guys. A whole lot. Well, I love you guys. Thank you so much for sharing your lives with us. It's remarkable. I love this community. Hope to see you again next meeting. And until then, peace, y'all.